Hello, and welcome once again to the Talk of the Terrace podcast with me, your host, Mike McPhail. And as always, I'm joined by my co-host and good friend, it's Harvey Carter Hill. Harvey, how are you doing?
Yeah, good, mate. I'm good. It's been a fun weekend. Yeah, fun week, really. It's not been too bad. How have you been?
Yeah, I've been all right. A bit tired, but I've got news. I'm getting a puppy a week today. Got a little puppy joining the family.
Yes, did see
Border
that.
Collie
Yeah,
puppy joining a week today, so that's good. Picking him up.
Gonna be exciting.
Yeah. Get my fitness back. Go on plenty of walks. I'm getting bigger. I'm not getting lazy. I'm getting lazier. Anyway, shall we jump straight into it? Before we do it though, shall we quickly talk? What did you watch the Chelsea Real Madrid game last night in the Champions League?
I didn't. No, I must admit I didn't. I was. I had work today all day, and it was. It's a late one. I got work 12 hours. Get up at 5 a.m. So I need my beauty sleep.
I
need my beauty sleep.
But yeah, it was decent game. 1-1. I'll take a 1-1 away from the bridge, but could have done better. Turbo Timo should have scored, definitely.
I've seen a picture, and I mean, pictures always make things look a little bit worse, but it does look pretty bad.
Yeah. But there was a joke going around today. Obviously, it's Tupac's birthday, and if Timo Werner was the person to take the shot, Tupac would be 49 today, and he'd probably be living alive. He'll still be alive. Anyway, shall we jump straight into it? Do you want to tell the people what we're talking about this week, Al?
Yeah, after seeing two of the all-time greats in the Premier League be inducted into the Hall of Fame, we took the 23-man shortlist and we've picked our own top 10 who we think should be going in next, I believe. Yeah. We've done that, and then we should have hopefully picked three more that are probably playing at the moment in and around now, maybe might have just retired, that should get into it come the end of their career or in the near future. So we've narrowed the shortlist down to 23 to 10, and we've got a ranking. I presume we're going to start at 10 and work our way up towards the number one spot. I'm throwing it back to the glory days in my 10, I must say.
Oh, really? Well, I'm just
times when the Premier League was good.
Quickly searching because I haven't written it down, because I will actually quickly talk about, obviously last year they were actually going to do the Hall of Fame and induct the two people in. Everyone assumed it would be Henry and Shearer, and it was. That got announced earlier this week, obviously. And last year they was meant to do it, and people were like, oh, who's it going to be after them two? Because those two were probably going to be the first two. They wanted like the all-time top goal scorer and then probably the best foreign player to ever play in the Premier League for a prolonged period of time. But I can't remember what the eligibility is. So the eligibility of the players that have been shortlisted, which you may not know have, they have to have retired by the 1st of August 2020. So last year, before the start of this season. So that's why you won't see the likes of Wayne Rooney in this 23 or Petr Cech, because Petr Cech's still technically on the Chelsea playing team,
Still going.
The likes of, but there are a few honourable mentions that, well, I say honourable, we'll say dishonourable for Ryan Giggs, because obviously they didn't include him because currently he's going through that court hearing where he's
had a bit of a dodgy off the field track record
thing. But you can actually vote for the next players on the Premier League app.
I did vote. I voted online.
You voted. You get 8 more. You get to vote for it. But some of the statistics are: you have to be retired from the 1st of August 2020. You have to have played over 200 Premier League matches. These are not all in one. These are different. Scored over 100 goals, kept over 100 clean sheets as a goalkeeper only. Played over 250 games in the Premier League, 200 for one club, etc. Things like that. So the 23-man shortlist, I'll quickly read it out before me and Harvey go into our 10, shall I? It's an alphabetical order. We've got some people in here that we'll talk about we think don't deserve to be in there as much as others, maybe. But we'll start off. We've got Tony Adams. We've got David Beckham. We've got Dennis Bergkamp, Sol Campbell, Eric Cantona, Andy Cole, Ashley Cole, Didier Drogba, Les Ferdinand, Rio Ferdinand, Robbie Fowler, Steven Gerrard, Roy Keane, Frank Lampard, Matt Letizia, Michael Owen, Peter Schmeichel, Paul Scholes, John Terry, Robin Van Persie, Nemanja Vidic, Patrick Vieira, and Ian Wright. Now, obviously, people of a bit of a younger age know all of them names, bar maybe the likes of Tony Adams, Andy Cole. And one person that a lot of people have been giving a lot of hate to on Twitter is Matt Letizia for no reason whatsoever. I don't know why. What are your thoughts on that?
That's a joke. That's an absolute joke. He was absolutely unbelievable. You don't sort of get spoken about and taught people teaching other players in La Masia at Barca's academy. He was one of the guys that was up on the wall that Xavi and Iniesta talk about.
Yeah.
How can you slate players
That's
like
what I mean.
that?
People on Twitter, it's definitely the younger generation. The guy is just class, and his commentary as well. He's just seems like a proper guy, doesn't he? And obviously, one-man club for Southampton, scored some ridiculous goals. You know, some of them little chip-up volley free kicks they done. And
incredible.
He's got the best penalty record in the league. I believe he's got 45 goals from 46 penalties, or around that, somewhere around that.
One.
But
he's only missed one. Yeah,
and I think it was a save. I don't think he missed a target. I think it was a save.
It was a save, I believe. Yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, so yeah, like you said, we're going to do our top 10. The next 10 we feel are going to go in. We're going to do it in order from 10 down to 1. So obviously, shall we do that, or shall we say some players in there that before we get to the 10 people that obviously aren't getting in the 10 and you feel maybe shouldn't even be on that 23-man shortlist, Half?
Yes.
Do you want to tell me about that? Tell me about some of these players
you've got written down that
you feel don't deserve to be in this 23-man shortlist.
Not quite sure how Ruud van Nistelrooy isn't on the list and Robin van Persie is. That baffles
completely
me.
agree.
When I saw
Van Persie, Van Nistelrooy comes before him for me.
Yeah, absolutely.
Don't know
what that's all about. Not quite sure on Les Ferdinand either. I mean, I think that might be, maybe I didn't see him play enough. I think that could be the only reason for that.
Yeah.
Although, you know, you talk about the greats of the Premier League, even some of the older generation, no one really mentions Les Ferdinand.
No, he doesn't.
I'm not saying he's not a good player, because
no, of course.
But he doesn't get mentioned like the others, and that was a weird one for me. Probably another weird one for me. Sol Campbell. I don't even think he's. I know he was an invincible, and I think that team was obviously the best Prem team. We spoke about that, but I don't think he's deserved. Does he? I think there's players. Jaap Stam's better than him. I don't know if he played 200 games or whatever, but there's certainly a few players.
Well, obviously, one of the other things was to just win a Premier League title, and obviously, if you're a Manchester United player before 2012, you've won a Premier League title, basically. Yes, so.
Anyone picking Sol Campbell over Jaap Stam probably needs the head looking at. I think, let's put it that way. There's definitely some better centre backs.
Maybe he hasn't officially retired. You know, maybe Jaap Stam's still somehow out there. He's not officially retired, and he's.
If he is, I haven't found him on Football Manager yet. And Walsall are in need of some decent centre backs, even at the age of 45. Eric Cantona as well for me. I find that quite a strange one.
Yeah,
I genuinely find that. Yeah, there's a lot of other players that I would pick over Eric Cantona. I'm not saying he wasn't a great player. He obviously had quality and class about him, but you talk about Ryan Giggs off-field antics. I mean, kicking the fans got to be up there, hasn't it?
but that was an on-field antic, so that's different.
It must be. I really need to check that criteria. But yeah, Eric Cantona was the other one for me. I really like that Ian Wright's got on that list.
Yeah.
Really. Yeah, I must admit, I haven't picked him in my top 10.
Yeah.
And I feel bad that I haven't. I'm so close.
My top 10 is a mixture of players that deserve to be in the top 10 and maybe
all the Chelsea lads.
No, actually, I haven't got one of the Chelsea lads. There's 4 Chelsea lads in there, in Thierry, Lampard, Cole and Drogba. I haven't got one in my top 10, but I think the other 3 are fully deserved to being in there just because of that. And it's hard leaving the other one out. But yeah, I've got a player in there that I don't know, I've got someone in there that's got sentimental value in there, but he should be in there anyway, in my opinion. But like say, Ian Wright, he should be on that 23. There's one player that I think's missing from that 23 that fully deserves to be on there, and that's Gareth Barry. I know you say he's not the best footballer. He's the all-time record appearance maker in the Premier League. He's got titles, so not only has he got the title of the most appearances in the Premier League, I think, for an outfield player, but he's also got the titles to back it up as well.
Yeah. When did he retire?
He retired a couple of years ago, I think.
2 years ago,
so I think he's viable for it, but he just didn't make that 23-man shortlist. I think this 23-man shortlist, what they've done is they've tried to add all the top class players, you know, and only one of them in that list has ever won a Ballon d'Or.
And Michael Owen.
And he's one of the 2 players that have won a Ballon d'Or in the Premier League, the other being Cristiano Ronaldo. So, but I'm not gonna lie, Michael Owen doesn't make my top 10.
No, he doesn't make mine either, to be fair.
So shall we start off with number 10 then, and then we'll go to number 1. Do you want to start us off?
I've really struggled here. I thought you said the criteria was to win a Premier League. Is that not?
That was one of the criteria. You need numerous criteria to make the 23-man squad. There's like,
so if you
hit one. Yeah, so for example, there was players in that maybe didn't.
If you meet 4 out of 10,
maybe not even 4 out of 10, you might only need to meet 1. So if you win a Premier League, you can be in the Hall of Fame. So the likes of like,
right?
I don't know.
Okay.
Torres, don't think he won one with Chelsea. He won everything else. But yeah, carry on.
Okay, yeah. So number 10, this was a real toughie for me between. I mean, Liverpool fans are not going to like this. Between Gerrard and Bergkamp, and I feel like, for me personally, growing up watching Bergkamp was brilliant.
Yep.
Yeah, I appreciate Gerrard dragged his team to anything they won. I don't think there was they didn't win anything without Gerrard, really, did they?
Well, when he was about, he was always and maybe an FA Cup or a Carling Cup or an EFL
and
Cup.
that was all Gerrard, wasn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
It was all
AC
Gerrard.
Milan final was only Gerrard.
Screw it. I'm leaving him out. Bergkamp, number 10.
So that means when you say you're struggling with 10, that means Gerrard's 11.
Yeah,
misses out just 11. Slightly. Fair enough. Well, that's a rogue shout to leave Gerrard out. But at number 10, I've got someone that I felt, because of all the hate on Twitter, like I said, I think he deserves to be in here. And just because it would be nice to see someone that it hasn't won a Premier League title in here, hasn't won Champions Leagues, hasn't got all that flair. Someone that
didn't get many caps either.
No. So I've got Matt Letizia in at number 10 just because I think as a player, he was so underrated, but there was obviously stories of him going to other clubs, but he had no interest, did he? He could have definitely played for the likes of Man United in the 90s and stuff like that.
Man United wanted him.
Exactly.
I tell you what I would have liked to have seen, him and Gaza on a field together.
Oh, yeah.
Would have, like, people of the younger generation might hear of Gaza being the drunk, old man, weird, creepy. Just go and watch him. Just go and watch some of his highlights, and then go and watch Letizia, and tell me those two wouldn't have been. I'd say that those two together would have been a better Xavi and Iniesta. I think it would have been mental to watch. Wow. Would have been just brilliant entertainment. If you were there for entertainment, those two in the centre of the park would have been incredible. I think would have been great to watch.
Wow.
But I've got number 9. I'll let you go.
Okay, number 9. I've got him in, but I didn't actually want to put him in the top 10, and I don't know why. Because out of the 23 men on that list, he's got the most Premier League titles with 11. You know, he's just short of Ryan Giggs, and that's Paul Scholes. I've got Scholes at 9 because he's a solid player. But I just when people think of the Premier League, and you look at the Hall of Fame, it's like when you look at, for example, wrestling has a Hall of Fame and the NFL has a Hall of Fame. You see the best of the best in there. Paul Scholes, is one of the best of the best. But there's just something about him that people, they just
undervalue him.
They undervalue him. They don't go straight to him. When people say who's the greatest midfielder of all time in the Premier League, if you ask someone that isn't from the English generation, people always hear of Lampard and Gerrard from
Lampard, Gerrard, Keane, all the time.
Gerrard, Vieira, Keane, outside of England and outside of England fans and Man U fans. You know, if you ask someone who's a Real Madrid fan from the 90s or 2000s growing up, and they were born in the 90s, and early 2000s, many of them don't
Gerrard.
No one ever gets told about Scholesy, but I couldn't leave Scholesy out. I've put him in 9, and he's quite a humble guy as well. So if someone said to him, "You're going to get in the Hall of Fame, but you'll be behind these other 8 people, he'll be like, I don't care. But he'll get in
Yeah,
there
I don't
because he is a
think so.
top class player. And he was very undervalued, like you said, in the England squad with Lampard and Gerrard, who were supposedly our golden generation with the likes of Beckham and Cole and Joe Cole, etc. Scholesy was the one that was always being pushed about. So I think maybe that's either because he was always seen as better than them and could play anywhere, or he just didn't care. Like, I think the others were more
do anything for the team. I think he was I think he wasn't a selfish player, was he? I don't think.
No.
But I've actually got him at 9 as well. I must say, I've got him in there. I don't think you can leave him off the list.
You can't leave him.
I think you can get away with Gerrard in the top 10. I think because he's never won a Prem.
True. That's what people say, but I'm going off my thing when it comes to the Premier League. Who are defining players of the Premier League for their teams, for the whole Premier League as a whole, and you'll get that when you get to the top end of it. So, shall we jump on to number 8 and see you've got a number 8?
I've got his midfield partner. I've got Roy Keane.
Okay.
I don't know how you can leave him off either. To be fair, criminally underrated as a footballer. I spoke about it many times before. His leadership was obviously brilliant. Won everything on a club level, didn't he? There was nothing he didn't win. Just brilliant. When I think of the Premier League, I think of Keane versus Vieira, Arsenal versus Man United, and then I think of straight after that it's the Arsenal Invincibles, and then it's Chelsea, Mourinho's 2 years. The first time.
Then,
and then they're the top things that I think of in the Premier League. They were
them early 2000s, late 90s, early 2000s time when it was dominated by Arsenal and Man U, and then Chelsea came along and just disrupted that, and then Arsenal just went, didn't they? Really?
But I mean, even obviously you're going to say it was great from a Chelsea fan, but I don't feel or care for any of the top clubs in the Premier League, the top 6. I don't really bothered about any of the teams. Maybe if Wolves come down, that'd be brilliant as a Walsall fan. But I'm only seeing it from how entertained I was and what I loved watching as a kid. I know one of your mates said something about I was an Arsenal fan. Mate, tell me how impressive is it to win a league without losing? That's so impressive.
And not just any league, the Premier League,
whether you hate them or not.
The Premier League,
whether you hate them or not.
But
that team was mental. Let's be honest. United's teams were always mental. The Chelsea early years with that spine, just brilliant. Those 3 are era defining in the Premier League. So Scholes, then Keane. I presume you must have someone of Keane's ilk in there.
I have got number 8. I have got Ashley Cole. I think when you're thinking about defining players, we had the best left back in the Premier League. Not Chelsea. I mean, the Premier League had the best left back possibly of all time, and he was there for a long time. Played for 2 of the best teams in the country, in Arsenal and Chelsea. Won a few titles. Was he part of the Invincibles team? Ashley Cole? He was, wasn't he?
Yeah.
He was part of that Invincibles team. Yeah, I don't know if I went to check it because I've got it written down. I've got a star next to his name, which I'm I wrote that down earlier. Why have I written that down? That would have mean Invincibles because Vieira's got one next to it as well, which tells you I've got Vieira in my team. So he's part of the Invincibles team, and you don't get, I know there's Bergkamp and obviously Thierry's already in the Hall of Fame, but Ashley Cole, best left back of all time, possibly best left back in the Premier League, definitely. So I just think you need different players in the Premier League all time. If they're having a Hall of Fame and they've started with the 2 strikers in Henry and Shearer and they're moving back and they're not adding any more strikers, I understand what they're doing, or they're adding different players. But Ashley Cole needs to be down because he is the defining left back of the Premier League of all time. So that's why he's in my number 8. And similar goes for number 7. Because he's the only goalkeeper actually on the list, I've gone for Peter Schmeichel. 5 Premier League titles, 90s, controlled it. He smashed it at Man United, didn't he? He was the best goalkeeper of the 90s, possibly their best goalkeeper of all time. Because I know some people would argue Van der Sar was just as good, and it's hard to argue that because Van der Sar was top quality as well, in my opinion, when he joined. Because but I don't think he was the same as Peter Schmeichel. I've seen a lot of Peter
Peter
Schmeichel
Schmeichel
videos.
had something about him, didn't he?
Yeah, when he made himself big, I remember watching Chelsea versus Manchester United, and Zola done a little dink over Peter Schmeichel, and everyone was like, "What's just happened?" Because all the Man U players are like, even Peter Schmeichel looked quite gobsmacked. Like, okay, that doesn't happen. Like,
He hated it. Hated that. Even in training, you'd hear stories of him like volleying the ball back at someone who's tried to do it, wouldn't you? He hated it.
So that's just a true competitor. But obviously, he went on to play for Man City as well, which maybe some Man U fans weren't best pleased of. But I think that's more their fault, right? Yeah. Because like his contract ran out, kind of thing, or something, or I don't know. But they let him go in the end. If you're at Man United winning titles and they give you a contract that you're asking for, you're going to stay, right? But considering he's the only goalkeeper in the list, we need a goalkeeper in the Hall of Fame. I would say Petr Cech deserves to be in there. Obviously, he's got the most clean sheets in Premier League history. He's got the most Golden Gloves and all this stuff. He's got bare records as a goalkeeper.
It's a good argument.
I think either one of them two deserves to be in. And since Peter Schmeichel's the only goalkeeper on that 23-man list, I'm putting him in at number 7. What about yourself, Alf?
He didn't even make it in mine.
No.
I feel slightly bad, but yeah, I mean, he'll get in. He'll get in.
Yeah, I think out of these 23, I'm pretty sure the way they've announced all 23, eventually they'll all get in. You know, the way that they've announced 23. Sad. It is sad.
That's slightly sad because there's no way that Van Persie deserves to be in there.
No, I would agree.
In my eyes.
I'd agree. I think Van Persie's probably the only one in there I look at, and I think he's the odd one out of all 23.
Questionable. It's so
I think all 23, really other than Robin Van Persie, probably has a shout and has a real reason for being in there, you know, for being a defining player of the Premier League. You know, even though a couple of them like Owen, Gerrard didn't win titles. Owen won a Ballon d'Or whilst at Liverpool, the first Premier League player to do so.
Youngest as well.
And they're just players that when you think of the Premier League, you can think of them as like, oh, who's the best striker you've ever seen in the Premier League? People are going to say the likes of Owen and Shearer and Fowler. You know, no one's going to say Robin Van Persie, in my opinion. You know,
no, because I mean, if at the same time in that team, everyone's picking Wayne Rooney, aren't they? If you were given two, if you were given two options, Wayne Rooney and Van Persie, anyone's picking Rooney,
even Arsenal fans are picking Rooney, right? Well, even more so because they hate Van Persie. But who have you got for number 7 then, Huff?
I've got Rio. Don't know how you can leave him off the list. Just what a player! What a player! You've left him off the list, haven't you? Jesus Christ!
Well,
I think he was just such a great defender. His pace when he was a bit younger got him out of a bit of trouble. But I think when he got to United, Fergie, got hold of him, tried to explain a few things, I think. And his reading of the game just came on. I don't think it's anywhere near. Well, he's very good, but it's not quite like the next guy I've got on the list. But I think he was brilliant. His pace got him out of, he could recover really well. But his reading of the game later on, when he lost just a slight amount of pace, but was still winning titles, and him and Vidic still looked absolutely incredible. Mate, I've got. Do you know what? I think I've got 4 defenders on this list.
Wow. It'll be really interesting as well, because obviously people have spoken about, and Harry Redknapp spoke about it before, about the West Ham youth team of the 90s. Like Joe Cole, Lampard, Rio Ferdinand. Who was it? Defoe,
Ferdinand, and Carrick.
That's it. Obviously, 2 of them went on to be Manchester United legends in Carrick and Ferdinand. Lampard and Joe Cole won titles at Chelsea. It's just
Jermaine Defoe
was just a top quality scorer.
I'd pick Jermaine Defoe over Van Persie as well.
Yeah, I think as a Premier League defining striker, I think that's not a bad chat. Someone who
him and Robbie Keane, him and Robbie Keane throwing it back at Spurs.
Or even him and Crouchy, him and Crouchy chilling at Pompey and then Spurs stuff like. I think
that was a player that I wanted to see on the list, Peter Crouch.
Yeah, I genuinely think Crouch.
I think he was he deserves to be on there. Everyone just loves him. There's no
what number are we on now? Who you got next? Defender, is it?
It is. It's another defender, and it's JT.
Is that number 6?
I know you. Yeah, JT number 6.
Okay.
it's a toss up between him and Ferdinand for England's best ever defender while I've been alive. No one comes close to those two, I don't think.
Not even Harry Maguire.
No. Maybe John Stones. But no, those two. I mean, I don't know what happened with Anton Ferdinand, but I really wish whatever that debacle hadn't happened, because those two were nuts. They were the. That's the sort of thing.
It was
where
that and the Wayne Bridge thing as well, when it was this supposed Wayne Bridge thing that also got him stripped of his captain's armband. But at the end of the day, if you're a top class captain, if you're like a captain that fans like ourselves see on the pitch, he's leading, he doesn't care, he's putting his foot in front of boots. It shouldn't matter what he does off the pitch, as long as it's not really bad. You know, like what Ryan Giggs is doing is bad, but the fact that John Terry supposedly cheated on his wife with a teammate, that's got nothing to do with football. You know, Wayne Rooney was apparently shagging grannies, supposedly, but that didn't stop him, and he carried on and smashed it. I don't think he would have, but like there's stupid things like that the media get hold of, and
taken out of proportion, I think.
No, it's like stuff. Obviously the thing with Anton Ferdinand, that's a completely different story. So
I don't think anyone's quite clear. I mean, Anton and JT, I know, but I don't think anyone's really clear on what happened. But John Terry's got to be in there, and he's I know he helped Petr Cech get most of his records, all of his records.
Yeah, exactly.
So I mean, how many goals did they concede in Mourinho's first?
Was it 15 goals in the first season?
15, 14, 15. Yeah, I mean, you're not doing that unless you're half decent.
And the fact we only lost one game was this close to being invincible. We lost 1-0 to Manchester City before they had money, so that's a bit annoying.
Yes, feed the goat and he will score. JT at number 6 for me.
Interesting. Well, my number 6, he's got 6 Premier League titles, so he's number 6. That's not why he's there.
Oh.
You won't have him in your top 10, but he's in my top 10 because when people think of the Premier League, one of the reasons and one of the players why I fell in love with football, he's probably the biggest name in football of all time.
Okay. Yeah, you got David Beckham here.
I got David Beckham. Yeah, David Beckham. I think the guy's class. I loved watching him play football. You know, he single-handedly dragged us to a World Cup finals in 2002
against Greece.
Greece, that game. I watched that at least once a week. There's a little 8-minute video on YouTube.
Yes.
Oh, mate, I watch it once a week at least. There's a video of him being hated for getting that red card. You know, it was bloody Diego Simeone that got him sent off, little kick out.
Yes.
And then the whole England fan base around the country burning England flags, burning David Beckham shirts. He comes on, gets made captain and all this. And I just love watching it. It's the best feeling ever. I remember watching that goal. And
there's only a few moments that make me emotional when it comes to football. Yeah. And his free kick against Greece is one of them, alongside probably Aguero's goal for Man City.
Oh, that's emotional. And I'm a Chelsea fan. That was great to see. That but that David Beckham Greece goal against Greece, that's single-handedly my favourite moment in football. That isn't a Chelsea moment. Obviously, Didier Drogba scoring in the 2012 Champions League final, that's probably my favourite moment of all time, or maybe one of the goals Lampard scored against Bolton to win our first Premier League trophy. But like my first ever footballing moment that I physically remember as a 10, 11-year-old, when David Beckham scored that goal, and you could see on David Beckham's face pure nirvana. He was so relieved, happy. He carried us, you know, and I just think
he did. And
on top of that, as a Premier League player, I just think when people think of David Beckham, they think English football, they think England, they think Premier League, they think Man United, you know, and so
that lob from the halfway line, as well.
Exactly. So that's why I've got
his first Premier League goal as well.
That's why I've got my number.
Yeah, I mean,
number 6. So
not going to begrudge him being on there. Number 5. You want to go number 5?
Number 5.
You want to go with 5?
I have got a player that deserves to be in the top 10. You put him at 11. Obviously, you were tossing him up between him and Bergkamp. But again, I think when you think of the Premier League, you think of Liverpool. You need a Liverpool player in the Hall of Fame eventually. And there's only one man that should be getting in there before anyone else. And that's my number 5. And that's Steven Gerrard. That's the man. Never won the Premier League, but is a Premier League icon. When you think of Premier League, you think of Steve. When you think of Premier League, you think of Liverpool, you think of Gerrard. Those are the three things that you, if you think of Premier League and you go to Liverpool, there's only one man you think of, and that's Steven Gerrard. And that's why he's in my number 5, you know. He's top quality player. I think I just don't see how he's not in your top 10. I know he didn't win a Premier League, but I've got Matt Letizia in there as well for, again, sentimental reasons, because I just think he deserves to be in there over some of the others, and people have shown him a lot of hate. So I was like, I'm getting him in. But Steven Gerrard, regardless of who you support, you wanted him in your team. You know, when I heard Chelsea were trying to get him, it's like, oh, it's a bit dodgy because him and Lampard can't play together for England. But if we get him, then that'll just be better for England. We didn't get him.
Yeah,
but
what's it matter? Yeah.
You want him in your team, and he's just top quality.
I mean, I know what you're saying. If there was a Liverpool player to get in, it would be him. I agree with you.
Has to be him. If they put any other Liverpool player before him, it'll be a joke, in my opinion.
What, even Robbie Fowler?
Yeah, I think so. I think Steven Gerrard is Liverpool, Premier League. Liverpool,
I mean, I'm quite surprised Jamie Carragher didn't make this list. I'd pick Jamie Carragher over Sol Campbell as well, to be fair.
Yeah, I'd put him above my 23, above Sol Campbell. I'd agree with that, but he wouldn't get in my top 10. Steven Gerrard,
probably not. But
only Liverpool player to get in my top 15. I don't think Fowler and Owen would quite make the 5 I would have behind these 10. You know, so I don't know. But yeah, who have you got for number 5 yourself?
Got the man who captained the Invincibles. I've got Patrick Vieira. Don't think I really need to say too much here. Obviously, just brilliant, won everything. Just it's easy to put him in because I grew up watching him and Roy Keane battle every season. It was just brilliant to watch, and I think that era was the start of when they started to bring in like real big money, didn't they? It was those two that kicked that off, and then Chelsea joined in, and it was just those teams at that time. I don't think I've seen a better era of football, and I know I've not been around that long, but there was just so much quality.
Yeah, I think
so much quality.
That's when you look at the likes of Van Dijk, and nowadays when people are saying he's the best centre back to play in the Premier League, it's like, I'm sorry, but he didn't play the sorts of players that other defenders and midfielders had to pull up with in the 2000s, you know. So
I mean, those guys were playing, like, just put it into perspective. There's like people that aren't going to get on this list because they're never playing in the Premier League. They'd get in Hall of Fame leagues in multiple leagues, like Zinedine Zidane, Andrea Pirlo, Kaká. There was just such an incredible pool of talent of players that there was just so many top players around. I don't think there is that higher quality of player anymore. We've got really good players.
During the 90s and the 2000s, anyone of many players could win the Ballon d'Or. Now it's like 2 players plus 1 more. Every year there's always one rogue shout in, like Van Dijk a couple of seasons ago maybe, but Lewandowski recently and stuff like that. But it's only ever going to be Messi, Ronaldo, or somehow Modric got one, but don't know how that happened. But like back then, it's like even when Owen won it, there's so many other players that could have won it, but Owen was still someone that
he beat Zidane.
Exactly. Owen still could have. He deserved to win it as well. He had reasons to win it, you know.
Yeah.
But there was other players.
There's not much of an argument, is there, for any others at the moment?
No.
Mbappe and Haaland would be the next 2. That'd be it.
You've gone Vieira at 5, you said, right?
Yes.
Was that your 5? Because my next 3, my 4, 3, and 2 are what I would say are the 3 defining captains of the Premier League. So when you think of the best captains of the Premier League, I always think of Roy Keane, Patrick Vieira, and John Terry. Like, that's me.
That's your 4-3-2.
Well, not in that order, but those are 3 of my next 4. Yeah. So, but at number 4, I've actually got Roy. Say again.
Go on.
Yeah, number 4,
I've got Roy Keane. Go 4-3-2.
So my 4 is Roy Keane.
Yeah.
I've got Roy Keane as my number 4.
Deservedly so.
Deservedly so. 7 Premier League titles, top quality captain, great pundit. And
mate, it's so good as a pundit.
Number 4, I think it was so hard between these 3 because all 3 of them are going to get in. But I've got Roy Keane at 4, John Terry at 3, because I think when you think of Chelsea, you think of 2 players, and that's John Terry and Frank Lampard. You know, think of John Terry and Frank Lampard. And then at number 2, I've got the Invincibles captain, which is Patrick Vieira. So nothing needs to be said about them. But at number 4 is Roy Keane. Number 3 is John Terry. Number 2 is Patrick Vieira. 3 best. Can you name a better captain for a team than them 3? I think the only player I can think of that comes close. The only person I can think of that comes close, in my opinion, is probably Vincent Kompany. I think Vincent Kompany as a captain for Man City was maybe just behind them 3. I don't think it was as good as them, because when you look at them on the pitch, they give everything. And I mean, Vincent Kompany was injured for a bunch of his time, you know what I mean? But these 3, regardless of whether they were injured, you know, they'd be on the pitch giving 110% every.
I mean, I'd probably say Vidic, maybe.
Yeah, but he, again, wasn't a consistent captain all the time, was he? Because
and also maybe a Tony Adams in the early years of Arsenal.
That's what I mean. I didn't get to see much of Tony Adams, so that's why I haven't put him in there.
Yeah, I didn't either. But yeah, I agree. But I imagine those 2 people would argue.
Yeah, fair enough.
But
I've got
to agree. I think those 3 are the okay. I'm really confused because I don't know if we've got the same number 1, because you haven't mentioned him. But I'm thinking there's no way you've left him off the list.
Yeah, everyone that knows this podcast and knows me knows this man was going number 1 regardless, and there are many reasons why he's number 1.
Yeah, see, I'm hoping that I bring a bit of balance to the podcast where I don't care for allegiances and loyalties, and I like to call it how I see it. But we've definitely got the same number 1.
Yeah.
So from 4, 3.
Your PayPal didn't work, but I'll send you that 20 quid later for picking him at number 1.
I think add a couple of zeros. 4, Ashley Cole, best left back Prem's ever seen. Best
I was
English
worried you weren't
back.
going to have him in. You know, you'd already put John Terry in, so I was like, Ashley Cole above John.
I mean, I've picked players that have been absolutely outstanding. There's some on that list that definitely aren't. And yeah, people might say I haven't picked Gerrard, but mate, it was so close. Did he really wow me when I was growing up? Not as much as these players, which is why he hasn't made the list. Gerrard in the top 10. I'm not going to argue because I know he was quality. Ashley Cole at 4, and I've put him up there. One of the only men on the list with that Premier League title is Matt Le Tissier.
You've got him at number 3.
Honestly, so good.
I'm glad
just
you've got him in the
so
top
good.
10. I'm glad
honestly
you've got him in the top 10.
He was that good.
When he wasn't in your bottom 5,
he was
like
so outstanding.
When he wasn't in 6, 7, 8, 9, or 10, I was worried you didn't have him in at all. So, but he's in.
No, there's no way he's never good. He's honestly so good. People probably going, I don't even know who he is. Was he really that good? Mate, just go and have a look. YouTube. Yeah. Honestly, so definitely. Outstanding. Number 2, I'm quite surprised you haven't got him in, if I'm honest. I must say, is Vidic. I genuinely do think that him, Ferdinand and Terry, for me, are the Premier League defenders. That is it. There isn't anyone.
Obviously, Ashley Cole.
There isn't anyone that gets into that. Yeah, I meant centre backs. Sorry, centre backs. There isn't. There isn't any 3. There's no one else gets near those 3 for me. JT, Vidic, and Ferdinand. I don't think there's anyone anywhere close. Even Vincent Kompany, still nowhere near those 3.
Yeah.
Obviously, I really do rate Kompany. I think he was brilliant. But in terms of leadership, ability, and just willing to put your life on the line, those 3 on a football pitch, those 3, brilliant. I don't think there was any better in the Premier League era.
Completely agree. It was really tough because if I had to have one of them to win out of Vidic and Ferdinand, I was going to have Vidic, but I couldn't leave Le Tissier out, and I felt dirty leaving Scholes out if I have Lampard and Gerrard in there. So, obviously, spoiler alert, number 1. Who have we got at number 1, Harv?
Frank Lampard, I imagine.
I didn't know whether you were teasing me by saying all that stuff about him. I was like, oh, he's saying all this, and I'm going to be like, you got Lampard too, Harv? But then you'd be like, no, I'm joking, mate. I've got Robin Van Persie.
Yeah, what an idiot.
What
Yeah,
an idiot.
proper. No,
Yeah, I've got
Frank
Super Frank.
Lampard.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, you're a Chelsea fan. I don't think there's any way you can leave him off the list.
Can't leave him off the list.
As someone who that I've got no allegiances towards Chelsea. I mean, I'll bring it up multiple times a week that this is not a Chelsea podcast. The guy was unbelievable.
Yeah.
Fully deservedly on. If he's in your top 10, anywhere in the top 10 for anyone's list, I don't think anyone's going to say anything. I don't think you can really argue with him being number one either. Just for a midfield player, double digits in nearly every season in terms of goals and assists.
Incredible.
Is he one of the only centre mids to make it in the 100 goal club?
Yeah, one of the only ones. He's actually
there's not many others.
I can't remember where he is on the list. He's like 4th or 5th on the list of all-time Premier League goals, which is pretty incredible. He's one of only 3 players in the Premier League era to have over 100 goals and 100 assists. There's only 2 other players to do so. One's Wayne Rooney, and the other one's been left off the list because of current allegations, and that's Ryan Giggs.
He was the only 23. That is some company, isn't it?
He is the only man in that 23 that has got 177 goals, 102 assists, which is 279 goal contributions from a midfielder, as well as he was underrated defensively. I think he'd done a shift in midfield as well. But the good thing is, the beauty of Chelsea when Lampard was getting to his peak was we had the likes of Makelele and Essien, so Lampard could be who he was, So Frank Lampard number 1 for me, and I think when they announce the next player to be in the Hall of Fame, whether it's 1, 2, or 3 players, Lampard has to be one of them players. I think, I think the way they're going to do it, I think they've got Alan Shearer in there. If he didn't win a Premier League title with Blackburn, he wouldn't have a Premier League title, but he's still going to be in there because he's a top scorer. They got an Arsenal player in from the Invincibles, one of the greatest, probably the greatest foreign player that's ever played in the Premier League at time, over a prolonged period of time. Obviously, Ronaldo played in the Premier League.
Did you just say Shearer didn't win a Premier League title?
No, I said he did. I said he only won the one with Blackburn.
I about to say my computer just slightly froze there, but
I
did wonder.
While watching your videos, jolting about a little bit at times, but your audio is okay, so we'll run with it.
We're good.
We'll run with it. But I said he's won the one with Blackburn, but had he not won it, he'd still be the top goal scorer of all time, and he has to be in there for that reason.
Incredible.
So I think next up they are going to pick a Chelsea or a Man U player. There's so many Man U players to choose from the amount of titles they'll won. So it wouldn't surprise me if they choose 2 players next, and one of them's Lampard, and one of them's the likes of Beckham or Scholes or Keane.
I reckon if there was 3 that were going to be picked, and let's say they're moving down the line, so they've gone strikers, then they want midfielders. If they were picking 3, for me it would be Lampard, Vieira, and Keane.
Yeah, I'd be inclined to agree, but knowing how they'd want to please everyone, I'd probably say they'd pick Lampard, Gerrard, and Keane, because they'll want a Chelsea player, they'll want a Liverpool player, they'll want a Man U player. You know what I mean? So I think and that way they've got Arsenal in Henry, they've got Chelsea and Lampard, Liverpool with Gerrard, Man U with Roy Keane, Alan Shearer is the all-time top goal scorer. Then they can just pick whoever they want next time. Because if what's going to happen if they pick like 2 Man U players before they pick a Liverpool player, Liverpool fans will then get mad. They want to try and please everyone, don't they? In a way, and I think that's right. I think before any team has 2 players in it, like Man U, they should maybe get one of the big top 4. They've always been the traditional top 4, the Chelsea, the Arsenal, the Man U, the Liverpool from the early 2000s, when Chelsea got that money. That's when the top 4 really came about. Everyone was talking about the European Super League, this Super League top 6 with Spurs and all them lot. There was like, oh yeah, what about Aston Villa and Everton from the 90s? But they never called them the top 6 or the top 4. That only came about in the early 2000s, you know. So I think that's what they'll try and do personally. But
if you had to pick, let's say, 4 managers, I'm saying 4 because 3 for me go in straight away.
Yeah, there's only the 3 managers obviously everyone talks about are Fergie, 100%.
Yeah.
Wenger, 100%. And I think it has to be Jose Mourinho, right?
Yeah.
100%.
Who would you 4th be? I presume, would you pick Pep?
No, because he's still managing in the Premier League. But I'd actually go for someone that maybe hasn't won a title. I'd maybe go for someone like... I was tempted. You would. I'd be tempted with someone like Harry Redknapp, you know? I think Harry Redknapp's
brilliant shout. Yeah.
Top quality manager. Yeah. Great guy, lovely guy, you know.
Big Sam?
Big Sam maybe, but I think Harry Redknapp's just got something about him. He wasn't just a bottom club manager like Big Sam. He wasn't always fighting relegation. He just had something, didn't he, you know? And I think some of the interviews Harry Redknapp's done since managing...
Yeah, won an FA Cup with Portsmouth.
Yeah, he won the FA Cup with Portsmouth.
Took Spurs to Europe.
Yeah, he did.
Took Spurs to Europe.
I
mean, they battered Inter Milan 5-1, didn't they?
Yeah, well, yeah.
Had some good nights.
And there was a good Inter Milan side. But that's our top 10. Did you want to read out your 10-1 quickly, Harp, before we move on to the score predictor?
10-1?
Yeah.
Bergkamp, Scholes, Keane, Ferdinand, Thierry, Vieira, Ashley Cole, Letitia, Vidic, Lamps.
And then mine is Letitia 10th, Paul Scholes, Ashley Cole, Peter Schmeichel, David Beckham, Steven Gerrard, Roy Keane, John Terry at 3, Vieira at 2, Frank Lampard at 1. So anyone listening, if you want to drop us a message... I feel like
you've proper mugged Ashley Cole.
I feel like you've proper mugged like the likes of Steven Gerrard, to be fair. Yeah, I think you mugged them off, but Bergkamp's in there, so it's like, right, shall we jump over to this week's score predictor where you...
Did we have one more thing on that? Did we have 3 who could make it?
Into the future? Yeah, I think I maybe mentioned players that... Yeah, I forgot about that. I mentioned the players that have been left out for certain reasons, but I've got a couple that I think should be in there. What are you...
When they retire?
When they retire, yeah. Oh, that one. Yeah.
Currently playing now.
Okay, so what we also talked about, that's my bad, I messed up. We've got 3 players each. We'll just quickly reel these off. Well, 3 players we each think should be guaranteed to get into the Hall of Fame when they retire from football that are currently playing in the Premier League. Obviously, Ronaldo is someone that's still playing, and the Premier League are going to want him in their Hall of Fame just because he played there and got a Ballon d'Or. He done bits, but they're going to want him there, aren't they? Is he one of yours? Is he one of yours?
No.
He's not one of mine, but that's who they're going to want in there as soon as he retires.
He will go in. He'll get in. He will get in. Yeah, he'll get in.
He's not a Premier League icon compared to what he would be in La Liga. But yeah, go on. What are your 3?
I've picked Foden. I reckon by the time he's finished.
Fair enough.
I reckon he's going to go close to England's best ever midfielder.
Okay.
Mason Mount. I reckon he'll go close to Frank Lampard legendary status at Chelsea.
Yep, completely.
And I struggled with the last one. I struggled. I've written 2 down. I've put a slash in the middle, and it's either Raheem Sterling, just because I think he's brilliant.
Yeah, lovely.
And I've put a slash, and I've put this because I think he needs to win something, and I presume that gives it away. That it's Harry Kane.
Yeah.
Yeah. If he's the only one that could potentially go close to Shearer's record if he stays fit and healthy. I just feel like he needs to win something. I really do.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
Whether he leaves Spurs and wins something with United or whatever, he needs to win something, I think.
Yeah, it's just who.
Yeah, that was my 3/4.
My 3. I've got one of them. I've got Raheem Sterling. I think Raheem Sterling gets in there. I didn't actually go as young as you with Mount. I would have the likes of Mount in, I would. He's a Chelsea boy. But I went for players that Raheem's on there. He's on the list. I'll only name 3, so I'll give him as one because I think Raheem deserves it. I think he's top quality. The other 2, one's a Chelsea player. It's Azpilicueta. I think since joining Chelsea in 2012, we signed him at the same time we signed Hazard after we won the Champions League. And I would arguably say Azpilicueta's had a bigger impact for Chelsea than Hazard did while he was there. I just think Azpilicueta is loved by all Chelsea fans. You know, he's our captain fantastic now. Every pundit says he is the best one-on-one defender that they've seen in the Premier League for the past however many years, you know, whether he's at right back, left back, part of a back three. I think he'll get in there. I think he's so good. I've got Aguero. Yeah. Obviously, he's leaving Man City. I've got Aguero. I think Aguero definitely gets in there. I think he's one of the best. I think he gets in above RVP and Les Ferdinand. You know, he gets in before any of them two, definitely. Whether he gets in ahead of Andy Cole. You know, Andy Cole had a decent career, and Ian Wright. Maybe he shouldn't get in ahead of them, but I think he will do. I think defining Premier League moments, if you can only pick one defining Premier League moment of all time, I think that's it. That Aguero goal, I think everyone goes for that because it was so close. And just one moment, you know, just that one singular moment, I think is just
it was
incredible.
Pretty special.
It was pretty special. So I think those are my three that are definitely going to go in. Raheem Sterling could come out and there could be so many players that could be replaced that are still currently playing, you know, like Jordan Henderson probably deserves to have a shout. I think the way how he's...
I think he will go in.
I think that's...
Yeah, he'll go in.
Decent. I think there's a KDB. KDB will definitely be in there, I think. You know, people that don't play in the Premier League now that did, I think Cesc Fabregas, someone like that, people like that. I think Cesc Fabregas will definitely have a little role in there.
Yeah,
I think there's so many players. Ronaldo will definitely go in, obviously, just because even if he only spent one season in the Premier League, just to say that he played in the... If Messi comes to the Premier League next season and doesn't win a title with City, they're going to chuck him in the Hall of Fame because it's Lionel Messi. He's getting in.
I just won't put him in just for the banter. Yeah, Wayne Rooney as well. I think Wayne Rooney will go in.
Yeah, definitely. Wayne Rooney will definitely go in.
No,
and I think
argument there.
Regardless, I think Ryan Giggs will go in eventually, regardless of what's gone on. You know, because probably. Yeah. Could you imagine if that was Adam Johnson winning 11 titles? Would he still go in? You know what I mean? If Alan Shearer was replaced with Adam Johnson, how can you leave the top goal scorer out of the Hall of Fame? It's crazy. Anyway, moving swiftly on.
True.
Let's jump into the Premier League score predictor. You had a good week, Harv.
I was so good, and it should have been slightly better.
Slightly better. Aston Villa getting a late goal to keep the deficit at 2 goals. You got 9 points. I got 6 last week. And it's 43-41 to you, Harv. So that's what I've got written down. Have you got anything different?
Taking that's what I've got. Taking a bit of a... Is that right?
What, 43-41 to you, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I've got written down.
Yeah. I was really gutted. I really was when Villa... I see that. You messaged me. I wasn't... I see annoying. It was 2-1. And I was like, mate, I'm flying here. We're in for it. Like, we're doing all right. And then you messaged. It must have only been about 30 seconds after the full-time whistle had gone. And it was like, phew, thanks a lot, Villa. But yeah,
I was so relieved. Could have been a lot worse. You just see me looking down. If you're watching YouTube, it's because I'm putting on the Manchester City PSG game on my Xbox. I got on the TV.
So, was it kick off at 8?
Yeah. So a few minutes ago. Let's go into this. Let's go into this Premier League score predictor. First game of the weekend, we've got Southampton at home to Leicester, Harvey.
2-1 Leicester.
You've got 2-1 Leicester. I've gone 2-0 Leicester.
Ooh.
Yeah, I don't know. I just don't know where Southampton get the goals from recently without certain players. You know, this is going to be a drumming, though, this next game. It's Palace against Man City. And regardless of the result today, whether they lose to PSG, whether they smash PSG or beat PSG, I've gone 4-0 Man City.
I've gone 3-0.
3-0, okay.
Palace.
Okay. You've gone 3-0 Palace. No. I was like, yes, I'm getting a point. I'm catching up by a point.
If it comes in, can I have at least 1 point? Can I just have a point of that actually just...
No.
Yeah, I've got 3-0.
3-0 I can't give anything away.
Yeah, 3-0 City. Next game, I've gone 2-0 to Leeds versus Brighton.
2-0 to Leeds. Fair enough. I've got 2-1 Leeds, I think. We both get, what I notice is we both get similar scores or similar results, who's going to win. And I think Brighton play this way throughout the season. You know, they look better, but they always lose. And Leeds are on flying form at the moment. I think Leeds are doing really well.
Yeah,
So I think
possible.
I've got
European
2-1. I think Leeds.
Season.
I don't see how you don't have Leeds conceding, to be honest, which is a bit crazy. Next game.
Yeah, I just don't think Brighton. I mean, I'd play at the back against Brighton and still keep a clean sheet. 4-1 to Chelsea.
Oh,
yeah.
I've gone 4-0.
Okay.
I said 4-0 last week or the week before. Not against West Ham, but the week before, maybe.
Was that the West Brom game?
Yeah, I remember. I know. That's why I'm tempted to change it to 3-0. I can't remember that West Brom game. What happened? Did we play West Brom?
There's no way Fulham are scoring 3, I can assure you.
I don't see Fulham scoring 1, so that's why I've gone 4-0.
Mate, I don't think...
I'm changing that to 3-0. I'm changing it to 3-0. I'm changing it to 3-0.
Going 3.
I'm always overconfident, and we have only scored 3 goals in one game with Thomas Tuchel, so that will get 4.
I've put 4 and forgot who plays up top for you, to be honest.
Wait, we have a striker? Yeah.
Yeah.
Everton versus Villa?
2-1 Everton.
2-1 Everton. Okay. I've gone 2-0 Everton. I don't think Grealish is back yet, and I think they're really struggling, Aston Villa, to score goals. I know they scored at the weekend, but yeah, it's
always a danger with Ollie Watkins, don't there?
There is a danger, but I just think they're struggling a lot more than they would be, obviously, with Grealish. If Grealish is back, they get a goal, and I think 2-1's a good shout, but is he back?
Yeah.
I don't know. I haven't kept an eye on that situation. Next up is Newcastle against Arsenal. And
1-0 to...
You've got 1-0 Newcastle. Oh, yeah. Baby. I've gone 2-0 Arsenal. Yeah.
Okay.
Come on, that's where I get the points back. Come on. Do something. And this is going to be my set. Yeah.
All honesty.
Yeah.
Arsenal are dire now. There's no doubts about it.
Yeah, I know.
The youth,
they're completely dire.
Their youth look good. Newcastle in recent games have been fighting.
They have.
They've been good.
And I mean, they need to
the
fight.
standout man has been Arsenal's low knee.
Exactly. My thing is Newcastle need to fight because they're somehow getting themselves into a relegation scrap this late on. They could go down somehow. I mean, West Brom.
Just on that. Sorry, Callum Wilson's goal last week. What are your thoughts? Good goal, bad goal?
I think it should have stood. I think it should have stood. I think it should have stood. Yeah.
Shocking, really. I can't believe that it wasn't a goal. Liverpool got lucky, didn't they?
I think recently some VAR decisions have really thrown people off the idea of it again. You know, I think it was building its way. Yeah. People forgot about it during the Super League. And I think people like VAR is actually doing some good at times. Sure, when it's offside slightly, it's like an armpit and it's quite annoying. But there's some stupid decisions that come up where it's like, you know, I don't know, like the Man U goal that got disallowed a while ago because Scott McTominay put his arm back and slightly grazed Sonny's eyelash, you know, Heung-min Son's eyelash. And I think I genuinely didn't see what was wrong with that and why that should have stopped a goal scoring opportunity, because I don't think that would have been a foul. If it wasn't a foul, the ref didn't see it as a foul, but when he watched it back, I think that was annoying. Obviously, we spoke recently about red cards that have come out and stuff. And by the letter of the law, the red cards that have been shown, they are technically red cards by the law, but I don't think they're red cards.
The law's wrong. The law's wrong.
Exactly. That's what we're saying. And that's what the pundits are saying. It's right to be a red card, but it's not right because the law's wrong. So it's like...
the law's right. Was it the West Ham? Who got sent off for the weekend?
It was West Ham Chelsea, wasn't it? It was.
You're a Chelsea fan, and you put in the chat, didn't you? And even you said, "Don't know how he's been sent off."
I said as a joke, I said, "Guaranteed red card. That has to be a red card, lads." But then after it happened, I was like, "Oh crap! The ref's actually given a red card." But it was similar to Leeds against Man City. Technically, it's a red card, but the one against Leeds versus Man City, I know we've spoke about it.
Slightly harsher.
It was a lot harsher than the Leeds one. The Leeds one, he's gone for the ball and he's like full on gone through and he slightly got the ball and followed through, and that's more of a red card. This West Ham one, who was it got the red card for West Ham? It's just Balbuena, wasn't it? He's kicked the ball, and he's full on got his laces to it, and he's just followed through, but he didn't follow through like where the Leeds player followed through close to the ball and hit the player. He's followed through and he's tried to pull away, and I felt that was harsh, but I'll take it. I mean, we got the 1-0 win. That's what we do, you know. You win some, you lose some, Harvey. You win some, you lose some. This is my certified boring game of the weekend because it's always boring. It's Man United versus Liverpool. Every time this game comes about, people are like, this is going to be a big game for the season. Liverpool need the win because they need to get to the top 4. Man U are their bitter rivals. This is going to be like a 4-3 to Liverpool. This is probably going to end 1-1, and that's what I've got it as.
I've got 2-2, only because I feel
both
like
got score draws, but it'll be 0-0.
Yeah, and it'll be the most boring game.
0-0, 0 yellow cards. That's how much heart will be on the pitch.
Agree.
Right, what you got next, Harv?
Yeah, nothing will happen. Nothing will happen. Spurs, nothing. I've got Spurs, Sheffield United.
Yep.
Spurs and Sheffield United.
Sorry, I think there's a bit of delay there on our internet, but we'll keep on playing through.
Yeah,
we'll keep playing through.
2-1 Spurs.
You've got 2-1. I've gone 3-1. So that's a close one. I think they concede. They actually done a decent showing under Ryan Mason against Man City. You know, they only lost 1-0. Had Mourinho been in charge, would they have won the Carabao Cup, do you think?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, fair enough.
Mate, the guy's a serial winner. He could be in the bottom 3 with like West Brom. He could be in charge of Sheffield United. If they were in the final, I'd back him. I'd back him to win.
Yeah.
Just what he does.
That's what he does.
Spurs fans are probably moaning, football's boring, blah, blah, blah. Mate, give me a 1-0 with 10% possession and win something.
How can you say that the football's boring when when his Tottenham team has scored more goals up to this point in the Premier League season with him in charge than they have under however many seasons? Harry Kane has got.
I don't think it's boring, but Spurs fans are saying it is.
Yeah, I don't
think it's boring. I think it's tactical
before
genius.
This season, I don't think Harry Kane actually got more than 2 assists in the Premier League in a whole season, 2 or 3 assists. But this season, he was looking at breaking the record after the first 5 weeks because he had like 10 or something ridiculous, you know?
Yeah, I mean, he's nowhere near Thierry Henry with 20 and 20 or 23 and 20, 23 goals, 20 assists in a season. That was impressive. But I don't think, I don't think that record will probably stand for a very long time. And I'll put it out there now, probably the person that might go close, Phil Foden, I think.
Yeah.
Will
Fair
be
enough. I think
that person
when you think of a player that gets assists and goals consistently, I think Foden's going to be that player. Mason Mount will probably get a lot more assists than he does goals now. I think he's dropped back a bit, or he's playing on the wing a bit. Grealish, another player that if he moves to a different team, potentially has that potential. I think he's very creative.
Assist output, maybe not the goals though.
Or true, maybe not the goals. I think Raheem Sterling has a chance, depending on how he picks up this next season. He's had a down season for him. I think he's always got that potential. You may have seen my facial expression on the YouTube. PSG just had a shot from outside the box. Good save from Edison.
Is it still 0-0?
Yeah, still 0-0. We'll jump into the West Brom Wolves game now. Obviously, Wolves got absolutely battered by Sheffield United 4-0. Sheffield United, Burnley. Burnley. Yeah. I've got a stat here on bs.com. It says Burnley have never scored more than 1 goal in a Premier League match until then. No, I'm joking. It was bs.com. So, no, terrible joke. But yeah, 4-0 against Wolves. If anyone predicted that, incredible. But what are you saying for this West Brom Wolves game?
2-1 West Brom.
2-1 West Brom. Okay. I've gone 2-1 Wolves. I think Wolves have to win. I was going to go 1-1, yeah. But I need points against you. And West Brom can't keep doing this, can they? Are they going to avoid relegation? I don't know. It's crazy.
I mean, it'll go down in the same prestige as when they did it with Kieran Richardson in the team and players like that, where they survived on the last day of the season. Yeah. I can't remember who's in charge. Might have been Gary Mowbray.
Do you remember when Leicester done it? Is it Tony Mowbray?
Tony Mowbray. Yeah, what did I say? Gary
Mowbray. You got Gary Monk and Tony Mowbray mixed up, maybe. But do you remember when Leicester was so close to going down, and then somehow they won the Premier League the next season? So maybe everyone, if West Brom stay up, get your money on it. West Bromwich Albion 2021-2022 Premier League champions with Sam Allardyce as the manager.
Yeah, Roman Sawyer's masterclass next season, I can tell you now. But
the final game of the weekend is 1-0. It's 1-0. Marquinhos just scored for PSG.
Oh, that's good, because I've got that's not too bad, because I've got both teams to score, Man City to win. So City to go and win 2-3-1. That'd be nice.
That'll be good. They need the
3 West Ham. Yeah, 2-1 West Ham. 2-1 West Ham.
What you got? Sorry.
2-1 West Ham.
2-1 to West Ham. Okay, I've gone for 3-0 West Ham.
I feel bad that I've let my main man die down.
I'll go 2-0 West Ham. I'll change that 3-0 to 2-0. I don't. Now that I've seen that's Burnley, I don't see them scoring 3. Although they have got Jay Lings, could be 10. You never know. But that's us. But Victor, shall we do a cheeky football fun fact before we end the show?
Yeah, I've got a quick one. Don't know what you've got. If you got,
I can do a quick one.
I've got England are the only team. England are the only team to win a World Cup in red, wearing red.
Oh, interesting. I'll do a bit of a more interesting one then. There is a okay, it's not that interesting. Okay, it is. There's a lad called Daniel Bennett. Yeah. He was born in Great Yarmouth. He's the highest capped player for Singapore. He's a Englishman. He's completely English. The name Daniel Bennett gives that away. He's the nothing. His parents are both English. All this stuff. Born in Great Yarmouth, he is the highest capped player for Singapore in their history. Still playing now, I believe, with 142, which is 22 more than Wayne Rooney and 17 more than Peter Shilton. So he's got more caps than England's top capped players for Singapore. He's played from 2002 to 2017. He still doesn't play then. I think that means he's retired. But yeah, he's currently 43 and is still currently playing in Singapore. He actually moved there. I think it was to do with the army, family in the army. He maybe joined the army and played for like a Singapore army team and just made his way into their national team, you know. So
wow,
pretty interesting. So
that is impressive.
So if anyone asks you who the most capped Englishman is, technically he's an Englishman playing for Singapore with the more caps than any English player, I believe. Which is absolutely
that is
crazy.
mental.
So yeah,
absolutely.
We'll end it there, and hopefully Chelsea win the big one next week. And when we're doing the podcast next week, I will be in a good mood because we'll be in a Champions League final.
Should we tease viewers with what?
Yeah, go ahead. Next week, Harv, tell us what we got. Tell us what we've got planned next week.
Basically, if your name is Deck, you can come on this podcast. as a guest. We've got a second guest next week. His name is also Deck. Deck Wilson this time, not Chester. Some good last names there, aren't there? But we've got our second guest, and we will be going through our impact signings 11. So players that have come in and just lit it up straight away. Didn't need a Timo Werner amount of time to look good.
Get that in there. We're talking. Hey, wait, he still hasn't looked good yet. So, jokes on you.
We're still waiting.
You're saying he's going to get good, I hope. But we're talking about players that come in. We're talking about the most impact. I can't remember. We haven't fully decided what, but like we're making 11 signings. The most 11 impactful players of the Premier League era. We send per positions like. We pick ourselves a goalkeeper, right back, centre back, however we want to do it, that sort of thing, yeah?
Yeah. We'll go through that. So basically, Deck came up with the idea, so we thought it'd be great to get him on for that. We've had some good ideas and feedback from fans, and basically, it feels like whoever comes up with a good idea, if it's not me or Mikey, then we get that person on for that idea.
It'd be good to get them on,
Yeah, so if you do have any other good ideas, hit us up, Twitter, Facebook, whatever. give us your good idea, and it'll go into the chat. Let me tell you, there's a lot of ideas in the chat.
Yeah, there's a lot of ideas.
And if it comes from anyone, then we'll probably invite you to be on to talk about your chosen topic, which I think is great, including all the fans and listeners as well, which I think is what we're aiming for.
Thanks for listening. Thanks for being fans of the podcast. Obviously, this week we missed out the Who vs. Who. We're going to try and keep that to when we have guests on. So the guest not only talks about their subject, they can bring a Who vs. Who to maybe pit up to me and Half, because there's quite a lot of Who vs. Who's to talk about. But if we do it every week, then eventually we're going to run out. And it's something we can maybe ask someone to bring on as well as their subject, you know. So it's good stuff.
Yeah,
good
we
stuff.
like it.
But thanks for listening as always, and hopefully we'll be in your earbuds next week. Hey?
Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
Cheers, guys.